Hi, I'm Dr. Larry Malerba, and thanks for tuning in to All Things Homeopathy. In the last episode, I presented an overview of the homeopathic literature. Today, I'll make my recommendations for essential books that all serious homeopathic students should own. Many of these books are old classics, and they're still as relevant today as they were when they were first written. It's important to develop a solid knowledge of homeopathy, as taught by Dr. Hahnemann and his successors, before venturing into the various divergent schools of modern homeopathic thought. Without the basics, it's very easy to get lost. I promise, this list is guaranteed to provide the reader with a solid classical homeopathic educational foundation. And don't worry, new and used copies of these books are still available in reprinted form. Most can be purchased from your favorite homeopathic book dealer or even on Amazon. As for an introductory volume, I'm kind of partial to my own book, Dynamic Medicine. I wrote it with the intention of providing a clear and concise overview of homeopathy in the broadest terms possible. When Francis Traherne, one of the world's great authorities on the homeopathic literature, finished reading Dynamic Medicine, he wrote the following: Larry Malerba has written a book that I wish I had written. I cannot pay him a higher compliment than this. He's written what I hope will become a modern classic. Once you've read Dynamic Medicine, the next book to tackle is George Vitulka's Science of Homeopathy. It's a well-written, contemporary, must-read book designed for serious students and future homeopaths. These two books will provide enough of a background to allow anyone to take the next step, which is to learn how to use homeopathy at home for simple first aid situations. In order to do that, all you need is a few remedies, or better yet, a remedy kit and a few first aid books. You may recall that I discussed using first aid homeopathy at home in episodes 4 and 5. Although there are many very good first aid books written by contemporary authors, I still encourage you to begin with a few of the old classics. I recommend the following: Dr. Dorothy Shepard's Homeopathy for the First Aider, Dr. Douglas Gibson's First Aid Homeopathy in Accidents and Ailments, Dr. Maisie Panos' Homeopathic Medicine at Home, and Dr. Margaret Tyler's Pointers to the Common Remedies. This last one may be a bit hard to find, but I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites. It's a solid reference book. After becoming familiar with first aid homeopathy, you may decide that you want to learn more. That means it's time to study the principles and practice of homeopathy. In addition to Hahnemann's Organon, there are 3 must-read classics that should be read from cover to cover. They are Dr. James Tyler Kent's Lectures on Homeopathic Philosophy, Dr. Stuart Close's The Genius of Homeopathy, and Dr. Herbert Roberts' Principles and Art of Cure by Homeopathy. I recommend reading the Organon concurrently, a few pages at a time, while you're reading these 3 other books. Remember to read a 6th edition version of the Organon. One of the more popular translations is the one by Wenda Brewster O'Reilly. These books will, in turn, give you the classical foundation that you need in order to begin a serious study of the homeopathic Materia Medica. Materia Medica can be overwhelming if you don't approach it strategically. It's best to first learn the most essential features of a remedy while gradually adding to that knowledge over time. It also makes good sense to study the most commonly used or polycrest remedies first. And the best place to begin your study of the basic features of the polycrests is with Dr. Roger Morrison's Desktop Guide. This is a contemporary book and one of the best. Another great book that organizes Materia Medica into a digestible format is Franz Vermeulen's Synoptic Materia Medica. 2 more comprehensive Materia Medicas are Boerke's Pocket Manual of Homeopathic Materia Medica and Fatok's Materia Medica of Homeopathic Remedies. Both are classics, and every student should have at least one or the other on hand. 2 additional classics that serve as practical learning tools are Dewey's Essentials of Homeopathic Materia Medica and E.B. Nash's Leaders in Homeopathic Therapeutics. Each is unique and well worth studying. The next step in the process of learning Materia Medica is to become familiar with the psychological and thematic aspects of the remedies. The best resources for this are Kent's lectures on Materia Medica, Vitolka's Essence of Homeopathy, and Sankaran's The Soul of Remedies. I highly recommend these 3 books before studying more contemporary authors of Materia Medica. The modern Materia Medica is expanding rapidly, and it's easy to become confused without a proper classical foundation. Furthermore, some of the newer material is in the early stages of development and in some cases highly speculative. It's essential to have a repertory to be able to look up symptoms in order to discover what remedies may be indicated. And the only place to begin is with Dr. J.T. Kent's Repertory of the Homeopathic Materia Medica. Most homeopaths spend a lifetime learning the ins and outs of the repertory. It's essential to know Kent's repertory backwards and forwards. Dr. Frederick Schroyen's synthesis repertory is the most reliable and comprehensive contemporary and expanded version of Kent's repertory that is still available in printed format. I say this because there are several computerized versions of the repertory, but I definitely do not recommend them for beginners. A great deal of learning takes place when one pages through a printed repertory in search of a rubric. Much of that learning can be lost when one relies on a computerized repertory to do all the hard work in searching. I should also mention that many people prefer Robin Murphy's homeopathic medical repertory because it takes the bold step of arranging the repertory alphabetically as compared to most other repertories which are arranged anatomically. Although Murphy's makes searching for a rubric much easier, it's essential to learn the classical anatomical structure of the repertory if one is to be able to communicate with colleagues and to eventually make the transition to computer repertories. And finally, therapeutics books are useful tools for learning about specific ailments and their commonly indicated remedies. Some of the best of the old classic therapeutics books include Dewey's Practical Homeopathic Therapeutics, I.D. Johnson's Therapeutic Key, Lilienthal's Homeopathic Therapeutics, and Dewey's Essentials of Homeopathic Therapeutics. And I have one last recommendation. The original homeopathic literature is written in Old World language and contains many obscure medical terms. It's important, therefore, to have a reliable reference that defines what those terms mean. J. Yasgur's Homeopathic Dictionary is an indispensable aid that will help you navigate your homeopathic studies. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. These recommendations represent just a small fraction of the thousands of books that comprise the homeopathic literature. But you got to start somewhere, and I guarantee that this list will provide a solid foundation for any serious student of homeopathy. Thanks for listening. I hope you'll subscribe to the ATH YouTube channel. That way you won't miss the next episode of All Things Homeopathy.